Hello, I'm Rich Quinnell, the editor for special projects at AspenCore North America, and I'm here today interviewing John Dixon, who is the Vice President of America's Sales and Global Distribution for Silicon Labs. John, welcome.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, a speaker at yesterday's CEO Summit said that we're living in an era of exponential change. And I was wondering, sort of what changes have you been seeing that have been driving the way Silicon Labs is doing, what it's doing for its customers, especially in China?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things that we're seeing in the Chinese market, and there's a few different things we're seeing in end segment markets. I think what you see a lot in the US or other regions that are now translating to China is a big emergence of markets that are brand new. And what I mean by that is you have home automation, you have a lot of automotive markets that are really growing that just did not exist before. So what you have is you have a whole new set of people that may not have traditional design or engineering capabilities that are now looking for design capability and are really leaning towards the expertise of a vendor like ourselves, Silicon Labs, or other companies for their technical capability. And you also have them leaning towards like independent design houses and design contractors to help them with those designs, but really absolutely brand new greenfields applications. I think some of the other big changes that you see in the market today, especially in China, is really where distribution. You have global distributors like Arrow, Avnet, Future. You have more regional distributors in Asia like WPI, WT, EDOM. And what you have with a lot of this distribution is you have a lot of big end semiconductor companies consolidating, putting a lot of margin pressure on a lot of these distributors. And what's happening is, the reason why someone like Silicon Labs leverages a distributor is for economies of scale of sales, field sales. But what we're seeing now is that's being diluted significantly because they're being reduced in margin, so they can't have as much field support or sales covering our lines. So the demand creation function of distributors is actually changing to be more fulfillment, especially as you get larger semiconductors combining that have larger field presences already. So there's quite a large dynamic. And I think on the distribution side, that combined with a lot of Chinese companies and a lot of Chinese IC companies being created really starts kind of leaning more towards the Asia distributors being able to actually go into other regions of the world and be really grow into those other regions where traditionally they were just Asia distributors. Like, I think it's the Global 500 there's almost as many companies in the Global 500 from China as there are from the US right now. And actually next year they probably will supersede the US. So it's a lot of interesting things driving a lot of changes with the distribution network. And that also ties into the new markets that are customers who traditionally didn't buy from either of these guys before, but it's completely new markets.
Good. So how is Silicon Labs adapting to this? What are you doing to accommodate these massive changes in what's going on?
So one of the things we have done in the last year is we have consolidated some of our distribution channel to focus again on economies of scale on our side, to really put more of our eggs in one basket, to kind of leverage our main global distributor, which is Arrow Electronics, to really not only have more focus on one larger distributor with larger field presence, but also combine that with our own additional headcount, hiring more dedicated people directly, which again helps a lot of these non-traditional electronics companies in the field with really getting them over the technical hump of getting a product to market. I think the second thing that we're doing is spending a lot more time with ecosystem partners, because a lot of these non-traditional end segments are actually relying a lot on third-party companies to help them to get the design if it's not the supplier. So we're really focusing a lot of attention on not only our own tools and products, but also working with independent design houses and ecosystem partners to really make sure that we give customers that don't necessarily have as much technical capability as traditional customers had to try to get them to market.
Good. As a design engineer, I'm always curious. We're talking about all the different things that people are doing with the Internet of Things. I was wondering, how is the Internet of Things in turn affecting how you do your job? Are there devices or creations or products being made that will actually support you in this transition?
That's a great question. I think a lot of the Internet of Things may not necessarily be the products that are helping us, but I think the kind of things that are helping companies like us, the biggest challenge that we have is scaling to a large amount of customers with technical support. So things like artificial intelligence, like Watson, IBM's Watson Online, which you can call Internet of Things. I guess it's the back end computing engines, and really what they're doing is, we have thousands of products with massive amount of complexity in each product. Customers have to come to us for answers, but it is actually in the documentation and it is in the white papers, and the answers are in the communities. But with applications like Watson, it's enabling us, not now, but further down the line, to be able to provide contextual answers for customers looking for answers for their problems. Where today we have to handhold them through multiple documents because Google or Baidu only gives you comparative search and doesn't allow you to have true contextual search in your answers. I think that's one thing that's really helping, which is more big data analytics. But I think there's other things as well, like the ability to have a seamless online support. Again, we're not there yet, but the ability to have a camera and be able to take over the screen of a customer so that you see when they're debugging code and you see their board, so you can have both on your screen at the same time and have a set of people behind the scenes in one location, really supporting the customer in a more timely manner versus waiting 2 days or 3 days for an application engineer to come see you. Those things are becoming a reality very quickly, and I think more big data is supporting our capability to support masses of customers with relative ease versus what it is today.
And then I think finally, the scenarios you describe talk about more and more and more customers while you're trying to become more and more cost efficient. So what exactly needs to happen in order for you to be able to scale to handle all of these people without vastly multiplying your own expenses?
Yes. Because there's a large amount of customers that we're seeing that don't have traditional expertise, what we're seeing is it is going to be the role of ecosystem partners and independent design houses that supplement these large quantities of customers. You're very right. We don't have the capability with ourselves to be able to scale to, tens of thousands. It could be 100,000 customers, not effectively. And that's where the role of third-party ecosystem partners. And the way I always see things is if there is an opportunity for value to be added, there's always people willing to pay for that value if it's going to further their design in a more timely manner. And we're seeing that. Silicon Labs, we have a partner, like an ecosystem workshop at the end of this month that's literally addressing exactly that, is talking to our ecosystem partners and making sure that we have the capabilities to really support the customer to get to market where the customer is getting benefited really by having ecosystem partners, getting them to market faster, even if there is a cost to that, because at the end of the day, it's a better return for the full project. So there's going to be a lot of online tools, there's going to be in-person services, and really leveraging the ecosystem around what we have today.
Very good. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all of you watching and listening.